here's where we have our first problem. Is because that connection should have been made immediately. You've got two people, you know both are not around. He's already been out to the trail, he knows Mr. Calhoun's not there. Doesn't make the connection. And then we have Miss Bradley. Miss Bradley is probably our most interesting witness, because she is the only one who has Mr. Calhoun looking like the flag. And you may remember, as she said over here and testified, the state actually had on the screen right next to her the photo pack where she had picked him out. And then had over here the flyer. That day that you saw him, which one did he look more like? That flyer over here, right next to her. She looks at both. That one, the flyer. Now the state's going to have you say, believe, even. But it's not important how long she says his hair is. Well, of course it is. That goes to his identity. It's absolutely critical what he looked like that day, and who she saw, and who she thinks she saw. It could not be more important. That's something you can't just brush under a rug. The identity of the person that came in that store didn't look anything like the flyer. The flyer is what she said. What else does she say? Got the shoulder length hair. And she's positive about that. On cross-examination, she is positive. Single length hair. Now, it may have been pulled back in a ponytail, it may not have been. What was he wearing? Blue jeans, a white t-shirt, and a flannel long-sleeve shirt. Comes in, wants to buy the cheapest pack of cigarettes he can get. As he's leaving, she says that another patron of the store was in there. She says his name may have been Darren. That's an oddly it was. But Darren Bachelor, she comes in and testifies next. And he says he can't remember what day he saw Mr. Calhoun, but he knows him from school. And he said that the day that he saw him, he had short hair. Now, what was interesting about the testimony between the two and how that fit together? Well, it didn't fit together. Because you have Miss Bradley saying this gentleman has long hair. As he's walking out the door, apparently he has short hair. And she said that the person who saw him in there was driving a blue Chevy pickup truck. Well, Mr. Bachelor came in and remembers on the day he saw Mr. Calhoun, he was driving a silver passenger vehicle. A silver Cobalt, not a blue Chevy truck. But we don't have people now saying him. We don't know who saw what. I would suggest to you that Sherry Bradley saw someone that she believed to be Mr. Calhoun based on that flyer, but was in fact not Mr. Calhoun. The identity doesn't match, and do not let them tell you it doesn't match. It does. What could be more important than the identity of someone being accused? She recognizes hands. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you just leave that up to your own thought process on whether you believe she can recognize these hands from photos. And I asked her, do you recognize all the scratches? Yes, I know those hands. We made a big deal about the palms of the hands, too, during our testimony. Now, that was interesting, because we're making the darkness around here, making it sound like he's been out somewhere near a fire. Well, this is at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, hours before a fire happened. We then moved on to Dr. Boudreaux, who did the actual autopsy. And I'm going through these in the exact order they came. He couldn't say whether or not she would have been conscious at the time. But he also conducted some testing. And you'll remember, the state started asking about what was left and her reproductive system. Well, she gave swabs and said that there was no DNA formed to Nina Brown present. Then we have Brittany Mixon. Miss Mixon is a recurring theme in this trial. She had her hands in and on everything. Now, the state seized on the fact in my opening when I mentioned the movability of evidence. What could be planted, what could be left. And the fact that Ms. Mixon had her hands on everything. Here's the attention to detail. I never said Ms. Mixon planted it. I said she had her hands on it. And she did, by her own words, admit she did. It would be really important for you to be paying attention to how things can be left. It wasn't because she left them. I think it's pretty clear through everybody's testimony, which matches up. She didn't take anything in. She didn't take anything in. Now, she was interesting because she says when she first got there, she asked if Johnny Mac was there. Over the trailer she goes. She says she wasn't told not to go in there, but we know from Mr. Skeeto and also Mr. Ellenberg that she was told not to go in there. But she didn't go in there anyway. She claims that she walked up to the door, looked in, and knew not to go in there because of the way it looked. Mr. Skeeto and Mr. Ellenberg were standing 20 feet away at the front of the trailer, see her go all the way up in the trailer. Now, Mr. Skeeto, you'll remember, has already been in that trailer. He's been through looking for Mr. Calhoun, his son. He's opened the bedroom door, which was closed, and he's opened the bathroom door, which was closed. Walked all the way to the trailer, and you've seen the pictures. It's not a whole lot of walk. Now, she goes in there because she feels like since she still has some personal items there, she can go in. And when she, I am going to propose to you that she in fact went in that trailer and dug around. But here's the important part. When she goes in there that morning, she doesn't see anything. She doesn't see a post. She doesn't see any of that stuff. That's where the other witnesses will come in later on. So she leaves. She won't even admit that she took a puppy with her. But they all saw her throw the puppy in the back of the truck. She then meets up with Detective Rayleigh, but not after taking her father's truck back to her. Now here's an interesting point. She testified that there had been several nights that week that he was supposed to be there and hadn't shown up. But for some reason on this particular morning, as soon as her father returns from Alabama, she gets in the truck and goes looking for him. On this particular morning. She then takes the truck back to her father to return to Alabama. And then she takes Lieutenant Rayleigh out to a campsite. Now, she doesn't take him all the way out there because she can't give very good directions to where it is. And Lieutenant Rayleigh goes out and he takes a look around. She then goes back to her house and is there until Miss Curry and Miss Strickland show up, wanting to know where Mr. Calhoun is. So she takes them